anonymous groups that harass women with lies, damaging photographs, and threats of sexual violence. Women have responded to these harassment and threats by going offline or assuming gender-neutral pseudonyms. But search engines reproduce those lies and threats for clients, employers, and friends to see. As Dan and Frank Pasquale have ably demonstrated, search engines can create digital scarlet letters that ruin reputations. A few examples can really help sharpen our understanding of the problem. And the first may be familiar to you. Kathy Sierra, a programming instructor and game developer, maintained a blog about software development called Creating Passionate Users. And early in the year, a mob of anonymous individuals attacked Ms. Sierra on her blog and then 2 other websites. They threatened rape and strangulation. They posted her social security number and home address on one of the websites. They uploaded doctored photographs of Ms. Sierra. In one, she is featured with a noose beside her neck. And in the other, she appears as if she's being suffocated by lingerie. Although her blog certainly enhanced her visibility online and in the programming community, she stopped blogging on April 6th. For some women, even assuming gender-neutral pseudonyms has not been sufficient to deter group attacks. A freelance journalist writing under the pseudonym Hart maintained a blog and discussion forum about women's issues. Early this summer, individuals claiming to be members of a group called Anonymous targeted Hart. They made menacing sexual threats and death threats on her blog and discussion forum. They managed to piece together her identity from her various postings and then revealed her name and her home address on her discussion forum. The group called on its members to crash her site by engaging in a practice that they called image raping, repeatedly refreshing images on the site in order to use up all the allocated bandwidth. And the group managed to shut her site down on 3 occasions over the summer. And in August, she shut down her blog and discussion forum. Now the group has Anonymous has proclaimed itself on a what it calls a search and destroy mission to shut down women's issues blogs and websites. And they claim responsibility for shutting down over 100 such sites. According to recent studies, individuals who write under female pseudonyms are 25 times more likely to receive sexually menacing comments than individuals who write under male pseudonyms. And as a result, what we're seeing is women going offline or writing under gender-neutral pseudonyms. This is a chilling throwback to a century ago when we saw women writers take male pseudonyms. We think of George Sand, George Eliot, in order to avoid discrimination. These anonymous attacks on Ms. Sierra and Hart update a disturbing pattern from the past, when we saw anonymous groups like the anti-immigration mobs of the 19th century and the Ku Klux Klan inflict serious harm on victims. The social psychology literature identifies 5 conditions that accelerate dangerous group behavior. First, when individuals with similar negative views come together, they tend to reinforce each other and become more extreme. Second, individuals who feel anonymous are more inclined to act on destructive impulses because they have a sense that they won't be able to be identified and then held responsible. Third, group members are more destructive when they have encouragement from someone they consider a leader. Fourth, groups are more aggressive when they see that authority figures aren't doing anything about their behavior. And fifth and last, groups are more aggressive when they have no fear that their victim will retaliate against them. Now, the social psychology literature also identifies 3 conditions that diffuse dangerous group behavior. First, groups are less aggressive when they're afraid of getting caught. And this is especially true when group leaders sort of instill that fear. Second, groups are less aggressive when they have a sense that they need their victims or have a close, intimate relationship with them. And third, groups are less aggressive when they have a hard time organizing and getting together. Online, we see all of the accelerants of dangerous group behavior, but none of its inhibiting factors. According to the social psychology literature on web culture, Social networking sites, blogs, and other Web2.0 platforms foster a real feeling of closeness among individuals with similar negative views. And this tends to polarize their views and enhance the aggressiveness and hostility of their behavior. We also know that people do and say things online that they would never seriously consider saying when they're offline, because they feel or are anonymous and thus have a sense that they're not going to get caught. Groups are also encouraged when site managers keep up their destructive posts. And when individuals write anonymously, they have very little fear that their victims will be able to identify them and then hold them responsible. We also see very little of the inhibiting factors online. First, individuals are not going to be afraid of getting caught if they've hidden their identities in pseudonyms or with anonymizing technologies. Group members also won't feel that they need their victims or have empathy for them, because the web allows individuals to tag victims from afar, free from the entanglements of really living together in a physical community. And the web is uniquely efficient in getting people together, so groups won't have trouble organizing. It's of course true, though, that the harm that we see inflicted from the mobs of the past was largely physical harm, whereas the mobs are inflicting here emotional and economic harm. But in an age when our identities and reputation are so bound up with the internet, the harm inflicted by these groups is potent. We know that employers use search engines at every single stage in the employment process, from recruiting and interviewing to hiring, and then during the employment relationship. When women use pseudonyms or go offline in the face of these attacks, they lose opportunities to create robust personalities and identities online. And they can't translate their online world offline to attract clients and employers. Our inclination to make a private abusive behavior a matter of public policy implicitly depends on whether we think that private mechanisms will rein in these abuses. And so I'm encouraged by what I think Jonathan's going to talk about in terms of, and John and Jonathan are going to talk about some private mechanisms that may sort of come in this vacuum. But I think that the social psychology literature seems to suggest that this abusive behavior is not going to be self-correcting. And so I look forward to, Dan, your prescriptive discussion. Thank you.